Hey, I'm Shayna Galen. I'm the author of more than 50 romance novels. And I've been thinking lately about the intersection between productivity and art. So I feel like there's a perception that I run into that if you publish 2 or 3 books a year, that you're not going to be writing work that's as good as someone who only puts out 1 book a year, or the myth of the person who spends 10 years of their life writing a book and your work isn't going to be as good as that. But the truth is that if you're writing in a genre fiction category like mystery, science fiction, horror, romance, you really cannot gain any momentum in your career or make any money if you aren't putting out more than 1 book a year. That's not to say that there aren't successful authors who aren't putting out only 1 book a year. And having been at those publishing houses, a lot of times they only want 1 book a year from that author because they want to, put a lot of marketing into it, and they, want to just really build up that 1 book so that it's a really big success. They don't want more than 1 book from that author a year. And I know a lot of those authors, and I'll tell you as well that most of them are probably writing that book in the last 3 or 4 months before it's due. So it's not like they're spending the whole year writing the book. I mean, I'm not saying everybody, but I know a lot of them are writing that book in the last few weeks before it's due. So it's not that they're taking all that time to write 1 book. So anyway, my point about productivity is this. I mean, if you think about anything that you do in life, right? Like if it's playing basketball or dancing, okay, then the more that you do it, the better you're going to be at it, right? If you need to do a pirouette in dance, then if you practice that pirouette every day and you're doing it every day, then you're going to be better at it than someone who only does it once or twice a year, right? So why is it that someone who only writes 1 book every 10 years is considered a better writer than somebody who's putting out a lot of books a year? It doesn't make sense, right? Because the person who's writing lots of books a year is probably exercising their craft a lot more. And yes, there's something to be said for taking your time and finding the right word and the right phrase and the perfect imagery and all of that. And I think that's all very important. But I also don't agree that just because you write quickly or that you're very productive, that you're not a good writer. So, moral of the story, the more you write, the better you're going to be as a writer. It doesn't mean you should publish everything you write, but there's nothing wrong with being a fast writer, with being a productive writer. And I hope that some tips that I've been giving you have helped with that. And I'm wondering if any of you have heard those kind of stories about how people who put out a lot of books aren't as good at writers as people who only put out 1 or 2.